If you just bought Asana or ClickUp for your team, or if you tried implementing it and failed, now it's just sitting there costing money every month and nobody's using it. I've been there many, many times. I've made mistakes I'm going to talk about in this video many, many times over. I think I found out what's going on. My name is Benjamin. I'm a fractional COO. And in this video, I'm going to explain the one fundamental thing you got to get right if you're implementing Asana or any other task management system with your team. So now here's what's happening, what I see across the board with clients, companies I own. Task management tools are being bought and then they just sit there and nobody really uses them. They've been set up with best intentions, but nothing really works. And people are just tired of trying to make it work. So what's happening there? I'm not going to talk about technical setup today. There's so many good videos on YouTube around how to set up automations, what the best task type is. What I want to talk about today is the way you implement Asana or ClickUp. And the one thing that typically stalls implementation is this. You build for perfection. You build in an ivory tower and you basically try to set up the system for a full state before launch. So what I see often is you sit together with your, technical ops person, you map the processes, which is great, and then you start implementing it into Asana. And you think, well, maybe the template should have dates that we auto-calculate from creation to, okay, this needs to be done in 6 months, so it has to be due on that date. Maybe we should add subtasks into our templates. Maybe we should pre-assign owners. Maybe we should build in automations for each stage. Maybe we should have very granular stages to really track every movement in our pipeline, in our process, in our project flow, and then you end up with 14 different stages. So you do all that, and then you hand it over to your team, and they're basically just flabbergasted and intimidated by what you've done. So everybody, upon launch, they open their first project, which is based on a template, and now they're being bombarded with 15 tasks per day. And if they don't complete them, all of a sudden after a week, they have 75 overdue tasks. And what was meant well basically becomes an unusable because overloaded system. So if this doesn't work, then what does work? And this is what I'm going to talk about next. What does work is treating your Asana or ClickUp implementation as a software product, really. You want to start with an MVP, a minimum viable product, where you really just set up the bare bones of what you need to run your business. So for that, it's important to map your process to really understand at high level. If you can't express it in a simple way, you haven't really understood it. So really spend time on your process, but then start with the bare bones, with the skeleton of your Asana setup. For many companies that I work with that have a sequential workflow, this could be a Kanban board. It might have 3 or 4 or 5 stages. So new request, process stage 1, 2, 3, and done. Right? Or the project template that you use to launch a new client might have just the high level entries, maybe 10 entries, 15 entries, 20 entries. And that's it. Don't start with more. Instead, build this MVP and have your team start using it. So the goal is get out there quickly with the backbone of your process landscape, have your team start using it, and now here's the important part, because you don't want to end up with a very rudimental, too broad, too coarse setup of Asana. You want to end up with something that's actually helpful for nitty-gritty day-to-day. How you get there? Meet with the team regularly and iterate on the MVP quickly. So the setup I recommend is launch MVP, and then the beginning twice a week, and then every week meet with your team to specifically look at what worked well in Asana, ClickUp, what is missing, what tools do we need to implement, what automations do we need, and watch for signal, not just noise. So what is the stuff that you actually do need to do more of? So you iterate through these weeks and basically just add what's really in demand, what's required from users. And that's where the valuable pieces of automation, of templates, of structure come in, not through thinking them through. Because the problem is you will over-engineer 100%. It's not gonna be it. You will over-engineer. So instead, start with an MVP, and then meet regularly with your team to really just implement what's blocking them to do the best work. So this is the fundamental setup I've been developing over the past 7 years of doing operations consulting. And this is what I've seen working. Everything else, specifically if you spend 2 or 3 months building in the ivory tower, typically fails just because you produce too much complexity. If you want to learn more about it, check out our homepage, sammy.com, or get in touch with me with a comment here, or my links in my profile. Cool. Thanks. Bye.